Blog Talk Radio.
In the name of Amen, the Supreme, the All-Powerful, one and only true Lord, and Amen we trust. As the Republican Mentellect, the real 144,000 is being gathered this day and time, the mentalists, the Amen race, the bright race. Good evening, I'm your host, the intellectual leader, Mentellect. This is Mentellect Radio. Tonight we're going to be discussing the crystal seed of the fourth dimension. What is the crystal seed of the fourth dimension? Simply put, it is the seed, literal seed to the fourth dimension, the doorway, the door. The crystal seed was planted in the third dimension to be an open door toward the fourth dimension. In other words, the fourth dimension exists in a living crystal. Why does it exist in a living crystal? Because the term crystal clear, when I always say to you all, am I coming in clear? Y'all say clear. That's another way of saying crystal clear, meaning that the illumination of a pure picture, a very clear picture, is starting to present itself. See, because in this three-dimensional realm, a lot of things are unclear. A lot of things are unclear, meaning there's a lot of mystery, a lot of spookism, a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of knowledge that's not being understood. So what has to happen? Knowledge has to be brought forth, and a greater understanding of it has to take place. A greater understanding of this knowledge must take place. If it does not happen that way, then what happens? Ultimately, we lose. Things get lost in translation. Right? And once things get lost in translation, we're lost. You see, we have to have pure clarity in order to know which direction to go into. The direction is the fourth dimension. But there has to be a seed planted from the fourth dimension in this third dimensional state in order to guide us as a collective body into the fourth dimension. That seed, that living seed, is Mentellect. And the holder of that seed is myself, Newton Mentellect. We were transported from the fourth dimension into the third dimension, meaning myself in this message as the living vessel, as the living seed of Amen. And in this living seed, this crystal, was the blueprint for the next dimensional world, the fourth dimensional world. The blueprint is there. That's why, if you notice, when I started Mentellect, when I started the Republican Mentellect, look at all the things that sprung from the Republican Mentellect. All the Mentellian names, the Mentellian language, our own connection to Amen as the Amen race, all the knowledge that sprung forward once the seed of Mentellect was planted. Right? It's the same way. I'm giving an example of this. Remember when Superman traveled to the North Pole and he had to build his Fortress of Solitude and he only had that one crystal that was from his planet? And that crystal had to be from his planet in order to take hold of his earth and plant it in the soil of his earth, and thus the growth of his home took place from that one crystal. So, what is the crystal seed? The crystal seed was the station or the place in which fourth dimensional transmission in the future world would be laid in a transmission. It would be interlaid in a transmission in a comet, which became a crystal. And on those crystals that landed here in the earth, it was able to pick up the reception and thus grow what you heard to be Mentellect and grow within the person who would be receiving that crystal. You know, like they show you the crystal skull. They show you the crystal skull. They show you the aura around a person's head. And they say that that person's head has illumination of glow on it. Because what? That person has a crystal makeup in their skull. And why does that person who is a receiver have a crystal makeup in the base of their skull? Because they receive the transmissions clearly and they can deliver them clearly to the people who are meant to receive them. So there is a crystal base within the skull. If you look at a skull, strip down certain people's skulls, you'll see a crystallized look to it. Only certain people. The one who is the receiver of Amen definitely has that crystallized skull, meaning in the base and in the content of the skull is crystals for reception. Who is it for? For the elect. The reception is for the elect. Where does it come from? From the fourth dimension. The reception is from the fourth dimension, which is one, which is the continue into the live and the continuous stream of eternal transmission. What is the crystal seed meant to, what is it meant for? For the raising of the elect and for the clear messages of the elect to get into alignment and follow the order of Amen. What will the crystal seed bring in the future? Eternal power. Eternal power, just like that. And only that. And that's it.
It's the Republic of Mentellect, rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. It's the Republic of Mentellect, black race to the white race. If it's hell, Amen, then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you. The infinite capabilities that